Hydrating.
This Three Beards Media podcast is sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company. When Rob and Chrissy Taylor started following the Kentucky Bourbon Trail in 2012, they fell in love with not only bourbon, but the entire distilling process. Just 8 short years later, in 2020, Revelton Distilling Company was opened, offering an entire family of products including vodka, gin, whiskey, and Revelton Shine. Come visit the tasting room at 1400 West Clay Street in Osceola, Iowa, where you can sample one of their many spirits, including 4 gold medal winners. Can't make it to Osceola today? Not a problem, as you can pick some up at your local Hy-Vee or Fairway grocery stores. Follow Revelton Distilling on Twitter or Instagram at ReveltonDC or their website www.reveltondistilling.com.
This Three Beards Media podcast may contain mature themes, and if you're not down with that, we got 3 words for you. Like the podcast. Nailed it!
Would you like to sample some of my nuts?
Thank you for the snazzy opening. You were hearing 2 new voices. If you're normally tuned in for Old Man Strength, you're now dealing with newly branded Young Woman Strength. So we're just filling in because Tim, has a life. And so, sometimes he needs to go live that life. So my name is Anyaa. I'll be kind of pushing stuff over. You can just blame me for all the weird topics, all the weird pauses. I'm joined by Mackenzie. Mackenzie, thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
A little bit of background, I guess. Like, I have a podcast. I don't really do fill in the blank pod. I will kick it back into form at some point, but one of the cool things about Three Beards Media is they have a lot of different voices. We have a lot of different perspectives. And so this one is going to be more baseball, hockey focused. And there's nobody better that I'd want to do this with than Mackenzie.
Thank you. I'm excited.
All right. So, Mackenzie, are you like our social media like wizard or czar, or like what do you call yourself?
Social media wizard is fine. I'm the person behind the keyboard sometimes. I post a lot of like the promotional clips, make the graphics, I'm always the one who's like shooting ideas back and forth. Chris and I, a lot of days we're just spitballing stuff, but I'm behind the scenes most of the time.
Yeah, that is true, but you do a great job, and thank you for all that you've brought into Three Beards Media so far. So, well, let's kick it off. So I want to kick it off with, we'll probably do baseball first because the Phillies did play today, and so the Phillies lost. Spoilers. Mackenzie, like, what's your level of sports baseball fandom right now?
I'm for those who don't know, I'm newly deciding to fully engross myself into baseball, and I recently chose the Phillies to be my team. I'm just scratching the surface right now. Lots of deep dives on social media is kind of where I'm at. Because I don't really like, besides what I see on social media, and I watched like the first 3 games against the Texas Rangers. Look at me. Yeah. Well, so I watched the first game when I was like, you know what? Balls to the wall, Phillies fan. And the Phillies were up for most of the game. But what I didn't realize, as someone who doesn't watch baseball, I thought home runs were like impossible. Like, I was like, I'm like, it's going to be a low scoring game, just like,
no.
but it was
bad.
lot.
It was bad. Nola didn't look comfortable with the pitch clock. Aaron Nola is like our ace, so he started off opening day, and Jacob DeGrom came out. We got hits off of Jacob DeGrom, which is great. It started off well, and then the fourth inning happened, and then it all went downhill from there. The Phillies are 1-5 currently, and they won yesterday. So that was their first win against the Yankees. That was exciting, but very nerve-wracking. And then today they lost again. I think we lost 5-2. And Derek Hall, our first baseman, who was replacing Rhys Hoskins, who tore his ACL, Derek sprained his thumb, so it looks like he's going to be out. So Roger Clemens' kid, Cody Clemens, fun fact, Mackenzie, Roger Clemens, do you know who Roger Clemens is? Come on, the Rocket. Okay, he's an asshole, but he's a great pitcher. He used to pitch for the Astros and Yankees, and he's kind of a jerk, but I mean, good pitcher. He named all his kids starting with the letter K. They all have names starting with the letter K. So.
That's nice.
Oh, man.
It's nice when families have a theme, I guess.
I guess. He also, I caught an interview with him during a Phillies spring training game, and he's like, if I had one more kid, my wife would have castrated me. So I was like, probably relax on that,
Yeah.
It's very similar to Phil Rivers, 9 kids. I'm sure, they love all those kids, but 9 kids is a lot.
Is that enough to fill a field, like a baseball field?
Yes,
Is that enough?
It is.
It's not about family anymore. That's marketing,
Has no subs. Everybody has to play all 9 innings, but we have a team. But yeah, the Phillies, Cody Clemens will be coming up, and I'm sure somebody else will. Brandon Marshy, he sprained his ankle in the 9th inning yesterday, so he might be out too. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. They're supposed to have the home opener tomorrow, but weather, and so it's going to start on Friday, their home opener. There's a good chance they get booed. So they're supposed to get their NL championship rings because we know men love jewelry. No matter what they say, they do love jewelry. And have you seen these rings, these championship rings?
No.
They just keep getting bigger and bigger every year. Every owner is just trying to one up each other. It's fascinating stuff. They usually have I've seen ones where they unlock them and they have something inside, like a field or their number. Anyway, I'm just okay, men can design jewelry if they want to. They can pick out good jewelry if they want to, obviously. But yeah, they're going to get their NL championship rings. So that's exciting, but we have to win games. It's a long season, though. 162 games is way too long, right?
That's a lot. I didn't realize how many games. Recently, the conversation came up. Does the NHL have too many games? And I was like, yeah, but doesn't everyone play 4 times a week? I was like, that's normal. But then the more I started, I recently found out that football exists, and they only play once a week.
Yeah,
and I was like, maybe I am too much time watching hockey.
But teams will play on Sunday and then they'll play on Thursday. So it's they have a short week. So it kind of sucks. Marketing, essentially. But I mean, I honestly 100 games MLB, 72 games hockey. Who gets mad? Are there too many hockey games?
I mean, my opinion is no, because when hockey's on, I run out of things to do, unfortunately. But I can understand it does. I mean, you don't need to have that many games, I guess, but I think that's the least of hockey's issues right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll probably get to that. We will get to that. How about that? So any favorite Philly players so far?
Oh, wait.
We have to go down the roster.
Okay. So I lived in Delaware for a hot minute, and we went to a lot of I struggle with this word, which is really funny because you guys all say it all the time. But breweries, we went to a lot of those, and the Phillies games were always on. And there was one player who was so cute. And I don't know who he is, but I would always like pretend to watch and be like, oh yeah, I don't know, but I can't remember what his name was. But he had like longer hair. Let me see.
We have a lot of hair on the Phillies this year. Matt Strahm, who pitched yesterday, I didn't know this, but he had been with the Padres and Boston Red Sox and I believe the Royals. He hasn't cut his hair since 2017, which is very impressive. Yes. We love Matt Strahm because he got our first win. He's also an avid baseball card collector and will collect baseball cards of anyone who hits a home run off of him. So that's very cute.
That's precious.
Bailey Falter has some really good hair. Aaron Nola, he's growing really long hair this year. He has like a curly thing going on. But I thought you'd be like more like Brandon Marsh. You know?
Wait, let me pull up a reference.
Brandon Marsh, who has to play with wet hair.
I know him. Or I don't know him. I saw him. He batted.
Yes.
I saw him batting.
He got a home run last night. Yeah.
Dang. Oh, he has lots of hair.
He has lots of hair. He got traded from Anaheim to the Phillies last year. So I didn't really think of like playing who's hot, who's not, but probably shouldn't do that in this day and age.
Unfortunately, that's like at the top of my mind, like quite frequently.
Hey, good looking, as I'm sure studies find that good looking sports athletes sell a lot of X, Y, and Z. So the thirst factor in baseball, it can get definitely hornier, it can always get hornier. So Brycey.
Who is that? Oh, Bryce
Harper.
Oh, Bryce Harper, I recently found out from it was like a gritty burner account on Twitter. 100% dead serious. And they were like, they posted the GQ article where he admitted that he's like, oh, I read a lot. And they're like, oh, well, what do you read? And he's like, I read a lot of, I don't know what her name is, like Elle Kennedy. And it's like hockey like it's like hockey romances. And I was like, I have, like, literally they're sitting right next to my desk right now. I was like
paper, but you still buy books?
Yes. I'll buy books that I read digitally just to have them to like take up space.
I like that. That. So I have read some hockey romance novels. This is like a little internet like confession time. I also read romance novels, but I'm only like an interracial romance reader. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I have read hockey romances, several of them. Xavier Neal, she writes Black Woman, White Man, interracial romance, hockey. It's like 5 books, and one of them is a gay love story. And they're all fantastic, and they're very horny. So if only hockey and baseball were that horny. Step up your game.
It's marketing, guys. It's easy.
Yes. Oh, it's so easy. It's very easy. Like I know like Julio Rodriguez, I just see everybody thirsting after him, men and women. Look him up. Like look up Julio Rodriguez. He plays for the Mariners. He's like 22. Yeah.
I get that.
See what I'm talking about? See what I'm saying? Like there's nothing wrong with thirsting after other adults who play stupid sports.
It's like, yeah. I have so many. I'm on Book Talk. Oh, there we go.
Look at that smile.
And he looks so nice in that aqua blue color. That's hard to pull off. Oh my god.
It is very hard to pull off aqua blue, teal. Very hard.
But then not to, because I know that you're a Seattle Kraken fan. As soon as I saw those colors, I was like, oh, that's kind of out there. Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, but then if we're talking about the Kraken, there's the best looking Kraken.
Are we gonna say who are you saying is the best looking Kraken?
Okay, just because like he's very debonair, but I know he's probably like a huge bad boy. He's married. Like there's some of these people who are married. We understand that. We respect the marriages, but there are some thirst traps out there. Even if you're married, you can be a thirst trap. Alex Winberg. He's very like
Alex Winberg.
He's very like traditional Prince Charming.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. But I'm also a sucker for Maddie Beniers, but he's 19 and I'm old, so that's weird.
He's cute though. He's he's cute in the way that I would like. I'd be like, oh, you're cute, not like,
pat him on the head. Pat him on the head.
Like,
you're cute.
I'm like, you look so handsome in your prom suit. What time's your mom picking you up? Lovingly, of course.
I did not have a date to prom, so I don't know what that's like.
I went to prom 4 times.
That's a lot.
Oh, I was, I was a theater kid. So like prom was kind of, that was my stage, I was showing up in ball gowns and like slippers. Yeah.
Look at that.
Love the women's empowerment night.
Yeah. The Kraken do a really good job of like being like, hey, what's there to support? Okay, we'll just support it, and everybody gets in line and everybody supports it.
Exactly. They're like, actually, we're already on the list of everything. I'm like,
they take care of it. It's nice, not unlike the Flyers or anybody else.
The Flyers or the Rangers or the Sharks,
the Blues,
freaking Blues.
I know.
Franchise. Get rid of them.
So why do they let Craig Berube? Why is Craig Berube still the coach of the Blues? He just seems like an asshole.
But I feel that way with like multiple coaches, not with any specific, but definitely John Tortorella.
Torts, yeah.
I don't understand, because it's like you're firing a coach, you're putting him back in the same fishbowl, you're shaking up and going, all right, what team are you going to now? What other team that's in dire trouble are you going to now? And it's always the Flyers. It's like, well.
So, Mackenzie, who are your teams?
So my teams are the New Jersey Devils and the New York Rangers mostly. Because I didn't get into like men's professional hockey until like COVID time, and that's when they were all playing like within their own little like division bubbles.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just chose a team, and I was like, who's cute? Nico Hischier, and he played for the Devils. I was like, who else is cute? Nolan Patrick, and he played for the Flyers. And then my dad was like, who else is cute? And I was like, who? Henrik Lundqvist. And so that's how I chose my team.
Oh, yeah. Henrik how tall is Henrik Lundqvist?
I'm about to Google it. However tall he is tall enough. That's my opinion.
No kidding. He's very handsome. He's on TNT now, I think.
He is. And
he still looks he's 41. Oh my God.
He's kind of, it's like unruly gorgeous. Yeah,
it's offensive. How good looking he is. They say he's 6'1", but I saw him next to Sarah. Well, Sarah knows she was in heels though, but
he's like hockey 6'1", where it's like the skates at 3 inches and your ego needs an extra 2. It's like,
it's like in football. Bryce Young, they keep saying that he's too short to play quarterback, and I'm just like, whatever. He's good. He's smart. Seems like a good kid.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Okay, so I saw Nico. He looked young. Okay, Nick. Let me see.
Nico Heischer?
24 years old. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
he's 6'1" too. Is he a hockey 6'1"? No.
I think, yeah, I would say like, 5'11". It's like,
Okay, Mackenzie, Nico's from Switzerland. Lundqvist is from Sweden. I think you have a type.
definitely do. I definitely do. Oh my gosh. And what's funny is, like, I feel like a lot of people in my generation got into NHL through Tumblr after One Direction broke up.
Oh my god.
I don't know if you've heard about the Tumblr to NHL pipeline.
No.
Oh.
Explain, please.
Oh, so, okay, well, it started in 2011 on the X Factor. But I think because a lot of Tumblr was populated with, like, okay, I'm gonna be revealing a lot. Chris, cover your ears. Like, a lot of Tumblr was
And your eyes.
And your eyes. And your standards. A lot of Tumblr was like one shots and like fan fiction of like the One Direction boys. But unfortunately, and spoiler alert, they broke up. So then it like slowly started to shift into, okay, well, like, who else is hot? Like, who else on this earth is hot? And so the rage kind of turned into like hockey player fan fiction, and a lot of it was like, I remember the first like NHL hockey player I had ever seen, like in a photo, was Tyler Seguin. If you're familiar.
Yeah.
Specifically the photo where he's on like the Zamboni with the popsicle.
Oh, hey.
And I think that kind of like, because we all were kind of like, oh, like, check out this guy. Like, that sucks about Harry Styles, but like, and
holy crap. Okay, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so right?
Oh, is this for the ESPN body issue? Okay.
Yeah. So that came out, and we were all like 12-year-old girls, and we were just like, oh, Harry Styles. And so we all just kind of started like being like, okay, well, this is available now. It's like, why don't we all start obsessing over it? And so it like, it started like very cutesy, like, look how cute, whoever. And but then it turned into like, we're all looking up stats, and we're all being like, oh, well, I just looked up your crush on elite prospects, and actually, he's one of the worst defensemen in the league. And I think that's kind of how I got here, unfortunately.
So for those who don't know, the ESPN body issue, and I don't know if they still do it, but they just get athletes, men. They do. I think it's a lot more men than women at this point. But just men being naked, but like you're not seeing,
it's like
their
tasteful.
Penises. It's tasteful.
Tasteful.
Okay. Yeah. But I would definitely Google Tyler Seguin, show off what you got, man. There's also the Eagles offensive line was in the ESPN body issue, and I thought, good for them. Those are, first of all, they are all big boys, and they all seem super confident in their photo shoot, which is nice. Confidence is always nice. So that was very, very cool to see. But I don't know if they do it anymore.
I don't think they do.
So basically, if the NHL and MLB leaned into the thirsty fans, thirsty part of their fan base, they might jack up their social media likes, views, presence. So, yeah. Oh, quack, quack. So
there we go.
There we go. Yeah. Rubber ducks for everybody.
I'm gonna have to clear my browser history now.
No, you don't. You don't need to. You
lean into
bookmark whatever. Yeah, lean into
it.
Keep
looking. Let me know what you see.
Keep Googling. Yeah. Eventually, you'll make it to more stats. Right?
Yeah, you'll find his elite prospects eventually. You just got to keep digging.
And Tumblr, for those who don't know, does Tumblr still exist?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Shout out to Tumblr for still existing. Tumblr was too much for me because I wasn't that online creative, but like I appreciated everybody who was creative. So I would just like lurk on there. So I was a lurker on Tumblr, and then I stepped it up from there, social media wise. But Tumblr OG. I mean, that's how you communicated with people back in the day. Like Tumblr, MySpace. I didn't really like MySpace. MySpace was whatever. I didn't care about posting 10 songs, my top 10 songs, top 10 friends. I didn't like any of that. So, do you have a MySpace? Do you have a Tumblr?
I think I missed the MySpace era, but I definitely
That's how old I am.
I think I was at the very tail, or I don't even know when MySpace was, to be honest, to be frank. But I do definitely still have a Tumblr. And that's it. That's all you need to know.
That is all you need to know. Okay, MySpace started in 2003. Oh yeah. Boy.
Ugh. So I would have been 4.
Oh, okay. And you didn't have a MySpace at 4? Weird.
I know. My parents should have got on
that. Behind the times. Have you seen where people they have a kid and then they reserve they make an Instagram of their kid's name
just to hold it for them?
Yes.
That's ridiculous. I didn't know that was a thing. I better get on that.
Find yourself a kid. Get an Instagram. That's all you need to do.
Step 1, kid. Step 2, Instagram. Yeah. The rest just comes naturally. Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
It is. I actually am a part, the way my friends are is they'll either just be straight Instagram picture, kids, everything, or I'll be involved in an Apple iPhoto group. And then they'll just post to that photo group and whatever, I love the kids, cool. But I don't know. I didn't grow up in that age. So the Apple photo age.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think any photos of me when I was a kid existed besides my self-portraits in my portfolio. That's people okay. What did you look like? And I was like, I was green. I was green. I don't know.
All right. I have never broken live, but we do need to break for our sponsor, Revelton.
At Revelton Distilling Company, everyone has become a part of the Revelton family. From the Taylors and their daughter who helped perfect their award-winning gins, to the team who installed Lucy, our 33-foot-tall custom-made still, right down to the local farms that provide our coveted corn, and even the cows on those farms who consume our mash byproduct. Want to see the farm to flask come to life? Now you can tour Lucy and find out where we take Iowa's harvest and transform it into our finest spirits. Choose between a 45-minute tour or find out even more by scheduling a VIP behind-the-scenes tour to get the taste of the full Revelton experience. You can visit them at 1400 West Clay Street in Osceola, Iowa, or find all of Revelton's award-winning spirits at any local grocery or spirits retailer.
And we are back. Thank you to Revelton for sponsoring the pod and Three Beards Media. I gotta say beards. I always want to say Three Beard Media, but that's I think that's the fan fiction Tumblr. It'd be Three Beard Media.
Three Beard Media.
I like that would be the fan fiction part. Just work on that, fans. Just do that and let us know.
Start writing your Chris and Aaron fan fiction. Enemies to lovers.
You can also throw in a side story for Tim. He can be that friend that bounces ideas off of either one of them. So
he's there,
All right, so let's talk about hockey. Because, there's not much to talk about. I'm not going to keep being sad about the Phillies. We'll be back. There's a lot of games. So the NHL, so Kraken fan, me, I want to be a Flyers fan again. I need to be a Flyers fan again. And quite frankly, the Flyers are like the least attended thing in Philadelphia right now. Every other team, the MLS team, the Union, they're doing great. They made it to the final last year. The Phillies went to the World Series last year. The Eagles went to Super Bowl this year. Like everybody's doing great in Philly except for those damn Flyers. So I primarily got mad on the internet and inside my body when they signed Tony D'Angelo. And so Tony D'Angelo, for me, I felt like he got kicked off the Rangers. Like I feel like they were just like, we're done with you.
Yep.
What is the number one Tony D'Angelo story that you would need to know if you didn't know who Tony D'Angelo was, Mackenzie?
I didn't know about Tony D'Angelo until the incident between him and former Rangers goaltender Georgiev, where I think it was, if I'm remembering this correctly, it was after like a Penguins game or Rangers versus Penguins, and he missed like a save from like Sidney Crosby or something, and D'Angelo was, as they were walking down the tunnel, was kind of mouthing off. And Georgiev is kind of known for being this like, gentle giant. He's actually 6 foot something, like without the skates. And so D'Angelo was running his mouth like he's known to do. And Georgiev, there was an altercation. Like they wouldn't tell us for the longest time what happened, but apparently Georgiev slugged him with his glove. And then the next day, Tony D'Angelo went on waivers. And so that was the original story that I heard. My introduction into the TDA.
Oh God, TDA. Put it on the poll. There is no poll. Just put it on there though. Douchier. Can a nickname be douchier than TDA? So I also knew that TDA. We're not even gonna say his whole name. We also knew that TDA was on the internet. Being a MAGA asshole, loving his daddy, Donald Trump.
Still is.
And then he gets to the Flyers. Torts is like, I can fix you. Every woman, everyone, man or woman, has fallen in love with somebody you want to fix. And Torts wanted to fix TDA. And he's like, I'll fix him. I'll bring him to Philly. That'll fix him. And it's like, dude, no. Like, when he got in that fight where he speared somebody on the Lightning, and just the whole team was like, that's it. We're just mobbing on this guy. The whole I think it was the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I think
But they just mobbed on him. They're like, that's it, this guy. And I feel like the Flyers are just like, oh, God. Like
they didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything. They're like,
you know what? Get Tony. It's fine.
Yeah, it's Tony. And then I think he proceeded to like hop on Instagram and then just start fighting with fans. So that's always good when you're new guy, first year. They tried to rehab him by doing like, oh, he's a Jersey kid and like he's always wanted to play for the Flyers and like he's like the future building piece, but it's gone horribly. And I just don't have time for, there's so many MAGA people around that if you're going to just introduce yourself like that as an athlete, then I just don't have time for you. Like just move on. Like keep your MAGA in your heart. Your box of a heart. So there's that. Torts to me is like an average coach. They have a very big good old boy system in the Flyers organization. It seems like they have a lot of old school mentality. The game is like struggling to like move from that old school mentality. I just feel like the Flyers are the perfect example of what's going on in the NHL right now. Is there is a contingent of people, teams, front offices who are trying to embrace the younger base of the sport, the younger players who know social media, know what to do, and then we have the old school guys who are just like no iPads on the bench.
Right. Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. That was the most, like, I felt like a power move, just being like, well, fine, I'm taking away your iPads. You know, we've lost 5 games in a row. That's it. I'm taking away your iPad. I'm not going to change up the defenders, you know. I'm not going to switch the lineup or anything, but these iPads, that's it. You got to go.
So Torts did that, right? Earlier this season?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, no iPads. Just
No iPads.
you know. So so Devils, Rangers are either both are going to the playoffs or no.
Yeah. And they should
Okay.
be playing each other, hopefully.
Well, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna be very. I'll cheer for the Devils. Like, I want the Devils to win, but I don't want to see the Rangers sad. So I'll turn it off quickly at the end. You know, don't zoom in on Ryan Lindgren's face. I don't want to see it. You know.
After every game, you're just gonna be like, "That's good. That's great."
Yeah, I'm gonna be
All
like,
right. Yeah.
Cut the cord.
So the Kraken in their second year are poised for the wild card, which is exciting. I don't know how far they'll go. Do you have any playoff predictions you want to make right now?
And I was talking to my friend Tyler about this, but it's like it's really shaping up to be the Bruins taking it all. I don't think that anyone can really compete with the Bruins. And also, as far as draft picks go, they don't have like a first round draft pick until I think it's 2024, 25. So it's like they put it all on the line and it's working out for them. So I'm like, you know what, let them win this year. And then next year, my Rangers can have it. And then after that, you know, or not my Rangers, my Devils can have it. And then after that, I don't really care.
All right. Yeah. I would be so surprised if the Bruins did not win it all too. I've just my whole entire feed is just Bruin stuff. So that will make a lot of people happy from the Boston area. And once again, Boston wins something, and that'll be another thing that they have on their little city mantle. So so let's go to explaining hockey stats, because I understand offsides, icing, things like that. Hockey stats I don't understand. For example, plus minus. Tell me about plus minus.
So the plus minus, and I feel like there's arguments for, different ways of viewing this, but this is how I personally, disclaimer, this is how I personally, me, Mackenzie, uses the plus minus when looking at a player, me by myself. I'm not saying this is how you have to do it, but so a plus minus, that's it's a defensive stat, according to me. And it's how do you know how you, like, how you find a plus minus, like how it's scored?
No.
So it's based off of the players that are on the ice at the time a goal is scored. So, like, if it's the Devils and the Rangers and Nico Hischier is on the ice for the Devils and the Rangers score, that's going to count against Nico Hischier's plus minus. It's going to, like, if it starts at 0, it's going to go -1. And then all of the Rangers who are on the ice when it scored, it's going to be a positive. But, and now this is where it's like unnecessarily tricky. It only applies to even strength and shorthanded goals. So it doesn't apply to, like, if the Devils were on a power play, Nico Hischier scored, it doesn't, like, nothing happens. But if the Devils are on a penalty kill and Nico Hischier scores, then they get a plus. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I don't understand the power play though, but I mean, they're on the ice. They're on the ice, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't really know, but it's kind of used. But the issue with the plus minus is a great player I'm trying to think of like a great player on the Flyers. So maybe like, I think it's generous to call any of them great players, but maybe like Kevin Hayes, who, you know,
Yeah.
came in to be like a franchise piece. So like, if Kevin Hayes is a good player on a bad team, his plus minus is going to be bad. It's not going to represent him as a player. Or if you have like a bad player on a good team, it's, you know, it's kind of the same thing. So that's where you can't really use plus minus as like a defining factor. Like, it's something that you can look at all the other stats and then be like, oh, and also his plus minus is this or whatever. But which is which is kind of where the contention comes, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, his plus minus sucks. And it's like, yeah, but you're not taking into consideration the fact that he's played for the Flyers for the past 6 years, you know? It's like,
yeah, this makes it sound like a little bit like NFL when they talk about QB wins. It's like, okay, well, you know, like QB wins is a stat, but at the same time, like if they had a great defense, great special teams, like of course they're going to win. But there are great quarterbacks that have been on bad teams. And so, you know, it's not everything.
right. It's not an all-encompassing stat. Like the same way that people are like, wins, losses is a goaltender stat. And it's like, no, it's like you can add it in at the end to be like, to support or take away from. But it's like a bad goaltender on a good team, a good goaltender on a bad team. It's like, yeah.
I would more look at save percentage.
Right. Yeah. I don't think you should ever, go first to win losses for a goaltender. But that's just my opinion. That's just what I would do, in my opinion.
So this is like very like this is all baseball. Like baseball has a lot of people who make up stats, not make up stats, but they take stats and then they interpret it different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like Aaron Nola was 11-13 win-loss last year for the Phillies, but everybody's like, oh, but that doesn't really mean anything. He pitched 200 innings. You know, he was a workhorse. He had X amount of strikeouts. Like, we didn't worry about his, you know, win-losses. So, all right, that's interesting. I mean, hockey, as it's not that plus minus doesn't like decide awards or like contracts, right? Like, okay, cool.
No, there are still, and I know it's in baseball too, because I was just reading an article about it, but like there are still those coaches who are like, oh, you know, we don't do stats. We don't do iPads.
Yeah.
We do stats. So
analytics suck.
Yeah, it's like, but it shouldn't be. And they typically don't. I'm gonna say no. That's not used for awards.
It's a mix of both. Like you should see what stats, you should keep track of stats, you should look at them, but not make your whole decision on I don't think you should run your team based off stats. Sometimes you just have to look at what you have. And then like, for example, like with Blake Snell, he pitched and I forget which World Series. It's recently when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays, and he had like 5 shutout innings. He's going in the 6th, and the manager pulls him out because they had in their mind, their analytical chart had told them like, this is how many innings he should pitch, and this is how long he should go. And once he hits that, no matter what, we should pull him. And it's like, no, but he was like on fire. Like you have to factor that in. Like, what did you see with your eyes? You saw somebody who was like locked in and engaged in the game, keep them in. Like forget a pitch count. You know, it's the World Series. So, all right. Well, thanks for explaining that. I thought it was more exciting. You know, maybe it was like, you know, hits or something, you know, like it's very, hockey stats are very boring.
Yeah. They are. They're boring and they're very contentious. I feel like, in my opinion, personally.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't really like when I listen to Kraken hockey feeds, they don't really talk about plus minus, but they don't really talk about hockey stats either. So I feel like it's not something that people talk about on the broadcasts. So, so that leads me to the next thing. Not really, but like let's transition to something that I have been keeping an eye out, and Mackenzie and I have been talking offline about, which is the NHL's huge fucking issue with their Pride Nights. And honestly, like, this is a huge deal to me. I think Mackenzie would say the same thing. You want There's already so many things in sports that make you feel bad, things that happen, players that get traded, their behavior on and off the field or ice or whatever it may be. And then coaches or organizations already doing shady stuff, owners being complete assholes. There's already so much that every league has. And the NHL, is not great, hasn't been great at being open, diverse, inclusive. They're really behind the ball. They were one of the last leagues to cancel games when George Floyd died. Um, they were kind of just like in their own little bubble and being like, "What do you mean, like cancel a game?" And it took a lot of strong Black players to be like, "No, this is not happening." But they were the last one to cancel their games, so I mean they're in their own little bubble, but they're also trying to stay around and maybe not be the fourth league in America, the most popular league. Would you agree, Mackenzie?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, one thing that I've been really realizing as a fan is that my fandom's changing the older I get. And so when I was young, I didn't really realize that, players had feelings, coaches have feelings. Maybe being negative is not the way to go 100% of the time. So I've kind of softened up as I've gotten older as a fan and really realized that these are businesses. So there's 32 businesses in the NHL and they all need to make the most money possible. And one way, I don't think you should be you're not going to make money if you keep telling your customers you don't give a fuck about them.
Right.
You're not going to do good selling the customer a product and then taking that product away from them, which has been done with several teams who have sold tickets based on Pride events, but day of or the day before pulled out of those events or haven't done what was agreed upon was everybody would have a jersey and kind of collab with more. They have been more than often LGBTQ, LGBTQ plus creators.
Mhm.
And so I've read how those creators are hesitant to even work with the team or NHL because they feel like their work is not going to be presented on the day of it's supposed to come out. So every day it seems like the latest team was the Blues, and they said they're not going to wear the Pride jerseys, but they do support being inclusive, and they do support everyone being involved in hockey. And hockey does have what is it? Is it hockey is for everyone?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's not true, but
Not even a little bit is what we're being
not
shown.
yes. And the teams themselves are doing it, and they're doing it in such a way where you could tell that there's a set of staff on the team that is like, you guys, we have to do this. We have to come through on this. We have all these materials, all of these things, the on site staff, we're ready to embrace Pride. There, statistically, there has to be gay, lesbian, bi, transsexual. There has to be those people in these teams themselves or in the locker room. Like statistically, there are people who are from that background who enjoy hockey, who work for a hockey team, and where the players are telling them to go fuck themselves.
Right.
So has New Jersey done a Pride night?
Yeah, theirs was earlier in the year, and they had the jerseys, and they showcased an artist, and they auctioned off their jerseys. But that happened before the Provorov thing. So
yeah, so this really kicked off when Ivan Provorov for the Flyers did not warm up and did not participate in the Flyers the Flyers warm up, but played.
Right.
And so after the game, they were at Provorov was asked about it, and he said it was against his Orthodox religion to participate in those, to participate in the Pride warm ups. And Torts basically said, "Well, it is what it is."
Yeah,
They handled it so badly.
He was basically like, you know what, stand up guy. Glad he's preaching what he believes in. It's like,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you've got freaking Tony D'Angelo out there on the ice in a Pride jersey. Provorov has worn them before. It's like, I don't know.
There's this weird contingent, right? Eric Stahl of the dumbass Stahl brothers. Put it on the poll. Stahl brothers, Goonish or Goonie.
It's
The Goobers, or
Ooh.
Goons.
I like Goobers.
I like Goobers better.
Goobers.
But these two Goobers play together on the Panthers. And right before it came out, they said, after praying and consulting with our family, we're not going to do the Pride warm-ups. And then the internet does what they do when they're mad. And, if you tell them some shit that they don't like, somebody will go and Google that shit. And they saw, hey, Eric, when you played with the Canadians, like you wore a Pride warm-up jersey. And you said, no, I didn't. That's a lie. Because all you have to do is just say that. And then people go, okay, all right, well.
It was like, and it's just, and this is just me being petty, but it's just the most mid players coming out and being like, hey, actually, I'm not gonna, because I remember reading that and I was like, the Stahl brothers are still playing hockey. I was like, Ivan them together. I was like, don't bring attention to yourself, honey. I was like,
yeah, I would want to lay low because in that Panthers game, I just remember I follow Roy Bellamy, who's on the Dan Lebertard show at Stugatz. He's a huge Panthers guy, huge hockey guy. And he goes, guess what? Mark Stahl just got a fucking penalty the first 5 minutes of the game that he said that he had like that was I'm going to sit out after consulting my family game. And I was just like, oh man. So how do we fix this? I think the NHL should come in. They've kind of already like leaked it a little bit. They were like, well, one of the reasons that we haven't mentioned was there are players and organizations who are Russian who have said we fear retaliation from for our families back home or when I go back home, which is obviously like we want people to be safe. You deserve to be safe in your workplace, but also like at the same time, the NHL came out and was like, we have no idea where this threat would come from that teams are talking about their Russian players having. So yeah, deal with that. And they literally like dropped it midday on a Saturday and just like went about their business.
Yeah. They're like, yeah,
So
we're not behind that.
Yeah, there's someone in it. There's young people. There's people like me who want to love hockey or work in that NHL office, and they're like, guys, like this is really bad. Like we have to like say something. And that was like their little fish line, like, hey, we don't know what they're talking about, and we monitor what's going on with our players. So Gary Bettman, he opened his mouth. He didn't help anything. He said,
never does.
He said overwhelmingly the majority of our players support everyone of different lifestyles, different lifestyle choices. And it's like, God, you're so bad at this. Why are you this way?
It's just, Gary Bettman is just ridiculous at this point because even like, and this is like completely dehumanizing, Pride Night, but it's marketing. You're selling.
Yeah.
I mean, on the tickets, like you bought your ticket for that New York Rangers game, it said everything that was going to happen. It was like it's a Pride celebration. We're going to be wearing the jerseys and stuff, and it's like people buy tickets specifically like for that reason. So then when you're pulling these promotional nights the same way, if you were to pull, military appreciation night or, like dollar beer night, it's like you're at the very base of it, you're ruining this promotional opportunity for you. it's so I don't understand why because he's such a greedy, not very smart man, why he can't look at it
Yes.
like that. It's like even if, and I mean that's completely dehumanizing, everything that those Pride Nights stand for and mean to people, but it's like Gare Bear, help yourself at this point. It's I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
baffled.
I think that, it's never good to tell your customers. It's never good to it's never good to do things for your customers. You want to be as broad as possible and appeal to as many people as possible. And so, you know, obviously the teams being left to themselves to handle this have decided one way or the other, and that's hurting the overall business. And
Right.
you can't let them do that. The NHL has to go, hey, you can't do that. You can't hurt our customers. You can't tell any of our customers to fuck off, no matter
Right.
what you think about them. And by the way, this is a warm up specific jersey that is worn. It's a 15-minute warm up process. And then they put on their jerseys, they get dressed, and then they go play the game. So we're not asking for a lot here. We're just asking for people to give a shit about other people, be welcoming, as every statement has said. We're very welcoming. I love all people. I love all different types of people. This is not true. You're not welcoming. And as a matter of fact, you're being, downright fucking hateful by putting out your bullshit views. And there was a rumor of a group chat between all of the shitheads who've been pulling this. So
Oh,
I just want to tell them to go fuck
fantastic.
themselves. But yeah, I mean,
Fantastic.
but hopefully the NHL gets it together. I want to support the NHL. You want to keep supporting it, and we just don't want to feel like shit watching it. So,
Right.
Fix yourselves. Gare Bear.
Gare.
And then with that for Care Bear, we will break for Wintrust break. Wintrust.
Are you in the market for a new house and unsure of the mortgage process? Want to know that you have someone looking out for you? Kyle Lehman from Wintrust Mortgage is a down-to-earth, knowledgeable lender who can be there for you in your corner. He can work with you in any of the 50 states and is just what you need to expand your home search. Kyle will work with you through the entire process with little to no work from you. Take the worry of the mortgage process out of the equation so that you can focus on looking for your dream home. Contact Kyle at www.wintrust.com/Kyle-Lehman or call him at 515-473-0546.
Thank you, Wintrust, for sponsoring the pod and Three Beards Media. All right, we're going to wrap this up because, this has been a fantastic time so far, but we don't want to give them everything, Mackenzie. We want to leave them wanting something. We want to just put ourselves out there, and then when Tim has to go do or save the world or go brew a beer, we'll just jump back in at some point 6 months down the line. So,
Perfect.
we're gonna wrap up. So, Mackenzie, do you watch more TVs or movies?
I don't watch either.
What?
Actually, unfortunately, I am an undiagnosed iPad kid. And so I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot of TikTok. I'm unironically someone who has to have a screen going underneath my screen so that I can pay attention. So I can't make it through a movie, unfortunately.
Okay, so I've actually been like, this is funny because the whole dual screen thing.
Mhm.
Usually, what we'll have is we'll have like the main TV, something on the laptop, and then if there is a third thing on the phone, a lot of that's sports, but sometimes like I'm like, we can watch this movie and then have like the game in the background. So I
Yes.
understand.
Yes.
Thank you for diagnosing yourself. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So on YouTube, what are you watching? Like on YouTube, for me, it's just food stuff.
Oh.
Like I'm just watching people cook and then
Uh-huh.
them telling me like how it's going.
Them telling you like how good it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I'll watch like top 5 sandwich places in like Rochester, New York or some shit. And
Oh,
you're just like, all right, well, there's 12 minutes of my life. What are you watching?
I watch a lot of podcasts. I'll have those constantly going. For a while there, I was watching. I don't know how it's pronounced, like mukbangs, where it's like someone like eating.
Oh,
That's all they're doing is they're just eating and like gossiping, or like I
oh,
watch a lot of like hockey highlights from like the early 2000s that is like it's like worst goalie fight, whatever, like just like really like niche stuff. I watch a lot of just it's I kind of just put it on and I just let it go, you know.
can I say shout out to everyone who puts like old sports on YouTube?
Oh, bless their
Like
hearts,
old
honestly.
hockey games, old football games, old basketball games. Shout out to all those people because it's like
It's so
no
good.
one asked you to do that,
Oh,
but you've like done
yeah.
like I like they said Joel Embiid said before he came to America that he learned how to play baseball or basketball by watching YouTube. And I'm just imagining him like pulling up Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, like all the like
Mhm.
there's this whole generation of kids who are like, yeah, I saw so and so on YouTube, like they play sports and I support that.
Yeah, honestly.
So one thing I do just popped in my head is so live sports, like are you a live sports person? Like are you going to minor league hockey games or what's going on?
Yeah, I love a hockey game, especially like a really like especially when it's in like a really shitty arena and like my
Oh
feet are
yeah.
sticking to the floor and
Mhm.
I can't read the scoreboard because it was built in the 1940s. You know, everyone's angry, but like we're all like I love being at the sport.
So I love that too. I mean the goals here play at the sports arena and the sports arena is a dump. Like
Oh,
in San Diego, it's probably the most janky sports setup
mhm.
ever. You walk in there, it's like intimate. It's like just big enough, but it's intimate enough to where like the mascot like gives you a high five and you get to see him beating the drum and you get to go on the ice with, Zamboni, take your picture if you have a big enough group. There's $2 beer nights on Fridays.
Oh,
Very enjoyable experience. My whole thing with sporting events nowadays is that like my phone literally will not work in these sporting events. So
yeah. What's with that?
the I don't know. I was gonna ask you,
I don't know.
like they're talking about how less young people are going to sporting events
Mhm.
ever, and I'm like, yeah, because like when you go there, like you can't use your phone. It's expensive. Like the experience, your seats might be shitty. Watching stuff at home has become way too convenient and way too good looking.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we went to a Minnesota Wild game. They played the Devils back in February, and I got upper nosebleed tickets, and they were $90 a ticket. I was like, that's a whole day's worth of pay for me. It's like I would
Yeah,
love to go to sporting events. And back when I lived in Delaware, I was on the student plan for
yeah.
the Flyers, and they would oh boy, they would shell out $20 tickets like it was their job. Like 90% of the fans were in the dollar ticket section. I was like,
Yeah.
finally the Flyers are doing something that I wish the rest of the NHL would do. But yeah, the Des Moines Bucks Arena is that's my place. It's disgusting. It smells bad. Look at that. It's tiny. It's like I'm out here. I'm not never me yelling at the goaltender, and the goaltender can hear me and is yelling back. You know, it's beer league, but I have to pay $15 to watch it, and it's so like that's the hockey I grew up on. I was like,
Oh
whoa.
yeah. Was that JT? No, there is something to be said for smaller intimate things, and like when you go to the goals game, I do feel like I could like, hey, ask that player like, hey, what are you doing after the game? And they would
Yeah,
probably hear me. Like
yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's intimate, but fix your Wi-Fi situation,
Yeah,
sports stadium people, because also a cool part of being at the stadium is posting those pictures, live, and you want to be able to also order an Uber or Lyft after you get out of the game. And sometimes it's like walking outside, you're like, do you have reception? Can we order a Uber and Lyft now? Or not?
exactly. Exactly. Like almost it's like, yeah, why would I go to a hockey game if I can't post on Snapchat that I'm at a hockey game? Get with
So
the time.
Snapchat. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Snapchat's still a thing. All right. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And as someone who is actively on the dating scene, it's too much of a thing, in my opinion. Allegedly, in my opinion.
All right. So what's thirstier, Tumblr or Snapchat?
Snapchat is thirstier. Everything
Mm-hmm.
that comes off of Tumblr is, it's well written, it's got nice
Mm-hmm.
gifs.
Polished.
It's produced, I would say.
Okay.
But then when you get on Snapchat, I'm 24 years old. Like when I'm dating, if you're, hey girl, can I get your Snapchat? Unfortunately, I'm no longer dating, but I'm getting pictures of, people's feet and half of a drink beer. It's like,
Okay.
it's like my girlies on Tumblr would never do this to me.
All right. So Tumblr has a stable job. They have a house. They have a mortgage. And Snapchat, is just figuring it out. Maybe, they work at Bevmo. They share a house with 4 people, and they're trying to get it together. So,
Exactly.
the feet pictures, though. Have you heard of Wiki Feet?
Absolutely, I have.
And so did you read the article, the interview with the guy who started Wiki Feet?
No.
Okay, to sum up, he's kind of a creeper.
Given.
The interviewer actually found her feet on WikiFeet and was like, "How did you get my feet?" And he's like, "I have a way of getting people's feet." So
That's terrifying.
it is terrifying to see your feet on WikiFeet. Shout out to that guy. You found your bag, and it's down at someone's feet. So he did not rate his own feet in the article, though, which was a missed opportunity there.
And maybe he's projecting. He's looking for what he can serve himself. I don't know. That's for him and his therapist to discuss. That's none of my business.
Therapy can be expensive, but we do endorse it here at Young Women's Strength. If you can go, talk to somebody, we definitely support that. I'm not saying that being into feet is the worst thing, but creating a whole damn wiki feed, that's a choice. That's a choice.
And putting it behind a paywall. You have therapy, sir. It's like, don't tell me it's too expensive. It's $10.99 a month, so
get yourself a subscription. Maybe that's not the best gift subscription at a holiday time, but I'm not judging. This is a judge-free zone.
Yeah.
So
next
we'll
week, 3 Beards will be sponsored by WikiFeet.
Oh wow, new sponsor. Wow. The imaging will be great. I'm sure you'll put your foot in it. So, and on that note, we should probably wrap this shit up. Thank you for doing this with me, Mackenzie. Let's do it again. Let's just kick the boys off their own show one day, or make them do the show with us, and we'll host, and they can just sit there and listen to us and listen to our opinions and either agree or disagree. But it has been a pleasure doing this with you. If you want to follow me on Twitter for some reason, BlackZag05 and Mackenzie, do you want people to follow you?
If you want to follow me, I'm at Mackenzie J. Duffy. I will be posting about hockey stats, though, and it is my own opinion. So
she said it. She warned you guys. So
disclaimer.
and girls, she warned you. So get that hot plus minus talk going in the NHL playoffs that are starting soon. Get that from Mackenzie. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll talk to you later.